Already mic testing. Okay, perfect. Let me go to my main camera. Already we're live, and as you guys can tell by talent, today we're be working on more game logic and actually more mini projects in Unreal Engine 5 using C++. That's it. I have been working on this for the past 3 streams. The reason I do call it always mini projects is because I basically work on mini projects in different kind of categories slash sections. So I'm going to work on more of those as well. Let's move on to my gameplay stream. And guys, there's one more reason why I actually say it's mini projects. So I can't really give what I'm going to be doing names because last stream I did let's say work on the 5 big inspectors. For example, game state, game mode, controller. I think it was pawn character, where I actually was about to work on the player movement, but I had to end the stream because I had to like go and all that stuff. Speaking of which, I might have to go sooner this stream as well because I have like 3 exams upcoming. Okay, that said, this was the chat that I had from let's see, I think like it's been 4 or 5 streams now. I gotta go ahead and replace this chat as well. That's it. Let me just go ahead and check if my camera is still blurry because I did a lot of changes to my camera. Okay, I can tell it's much better than before, but it's not as good because you guys can still see a little bit of blurriness. It's not really that blurry. Okay, that's it. Let's go ahead and work on the mini project. Firstly, I want to show you guys what I worked on last stream. So if I open my Visual Studio, open mini project, and I'm going to run the program so my Unreal Engine can open as well. Let's wait for that real quick. So let me just go ahead and grab that here. Maybe just extend that to check something real quick. There we go. Okay, and then get my chat up here. There. Okay, I'm just gonna go down and down. There we go. Okay, so basically this was the project that I worked on last stream. If I run the code, while it's opening my Visual Studio, I'm gonna go ahead and let's say read my project that I was gonna be working on. Okay, let's go all the way up here. There we go. Okay, you understood it. Just need better input actions. Give me a sec, guys. Let me go all the way down. There we go. So for our project number 5 or 6, whichever number this was, our requirements were to create a new C++ character class called aPlayerCharacter, okay, where we set up input in C++, which I actually did not work on yet, but I will be doing that. I was working on the programming part first. I gotta create 2 input actions, which is gonna be IA underscore move and IA underscore look. IA basically stands for input action. We do prefix it with that so it's more readable. That said, and then we bind them to C++ using, let's say, bind action function. Next up, step-by-step setup. This was more of the source code, which I didn't really want to completely focus on because I've already worked with this. The only reason I did see it for like a reference is because the syntax is a bit more different compared to what I worked with. Speaking of which, let me tell you guys my progress so far. Last stream, I stopped after I was done with getting the player controller because I did have to leave and all that stuff. But this stream, I'm gonna actually complete this. Now, once we're done with the player controller, what is something else that I might need? I might want to go ahead and define, let's say, the move function that I've declared in my header files. So to define it, firstly, I'm going to go ahead and let's say add a triple asterisk comment that says something like define the move function. Okay, and now let's go with something like function. There we go. And guys, my fingers are not warmed up just yet. That said, in order to define the move function, what is something that I might need? Firstly, the most basic thing that I could actually need is copy my, let's say, void aPlayerCharacter with a scope resolution operator. This is something that we always need. So I'm going to paste it here. And with the help of my scope resolution operator from inside my aPlayerCharacters class, I'm going to go ahead and get access of my move method. There we go. By method, I meant function. Okay, and then I'm going to go with the prof curly braces. Now, my move function does require a parameter or a constant parameter of my f input action value, which I did go ahead and include a header for that last stream as well, which is going to be requiring the memory address of a value. There. Now, in order to actually move an object, there are 3 basic components that we need. I know Claude didn't sell this, but I have a long story with movement because that's what I initially started on Unreal Engine with, learning how to make objects really move. Okay, that said, so the things that we firstly need is going to be a scale value, we're going to be needing rotation, and we're going to be needing, I forgot the third one. We need rotation, we need direction, we need scale value. The last one was pretty basic. Hold up, guys. It's right up in my head. I just can't trace it. We need world direction. There we go. So scale value, rotation, and world direction. So first I'm gonna go ahead and get my scale value. Let's go with a triple asterisk. Asterisk is common first. I'm gonna go with something like scale value. Now to get my scale value, firstly I'm gonna go ahead and let's say create an f vector, because my scale value is technically let's see, it either returns me or gives me a positive number or a negative number depending on which way I move. If I get a positive number, my player moves in front. If I get a negative number, my player moves backwards. If that makes any sense. An f vector is basically in charge of giving me or storing, let's say, rotations. F does stand for structure, so this is a structure which is in charge of storing either my yaw, pitch, or roll position. Okay, if that made any sense. Where I'm going to go with something like f vector is going to be represented by a pointer called something like movement vector. Okay, the reason I went ahead and called this movement vector is I'm going to be moving depending on what value I get, positive one or negative one, which is going to be equal to, let's go with something like my values is parameter here dot the get template. And yeah, I do know I need some more explanation with this because I worked a lot with the programming part. I didn't really work a lot with the theoretical part. That's the whole reason I had to start back up from my roadmap, like from the first content. Okay, because I skipped a lot in middle, I guess. Speaking of which, so I'm going to go with value.get, which requires my f vector in the parameter here, or in the prof angle braces there. Lastly, I'm going to go with the prof parentheses, ending with a semicolon. And that right here gives me my scale value. Why do I have it red underlined? Okay, and guys, ignore if you guys can hear some background noise. I don't really think it's really audible. That said, did I spell value correct? I have a constant f input action value. This is going to be value, value.get. No suitable conversion function. F input action value, access 3D. Okay, is this not going to be a pointer? Oh, it needs to be a pointer. Okay, well, this is one reason why I still have my reference up here. Let's go to the reference. Oh, my bad. It's f vector 2D. Okay, this is what I forgot. The reason this is set to f vector 2D is because I'm not going to be using my roll. I'm not going to be using the z-axis. I just want to move either in the x-axis or the y-axis. I still see it right underlined. Okay, very live. Honestly, I do live abroad, but I can't really tell exactly which country I live in. That's value.get. Oh, I'm so stupid. F vector 2D. Guys, this is one reason we gotta pay a lot of attention. Although, I still see a red underline here. Why could that be? Let's see. So, movement vector, and that is value.get. Okay, you know what? I'm actually kind of blaming my parameters correct here. So, I'm gonna be blaming, whatchamacallit, my Unreal Engine. Actually, my Visual Studios' editor is still kind of getting through with it. Unless f input action value, unless I spell this wrong, that is a structure. I require f input action values value parameter. I'm just gonna go ahead and copy that just to make sure I did not have any typos. Okay, because it seems kind of rare, but there are a lot of typos at times. And then value. Okay, this is correct. Next up, once I'm done getting my scale value, I'm gonna add another triple asterisk comment that says something like, let's say I want to get my, let's go with something like get players' rotation and direction. Okay, let me just go ahead and title case that just so it looks better. Now, to get my players' rotation and direction, there are a few things that I would need as well. Where the first thing could be let's say rotator, which is going to be represented by a local variable called something like rotation, that is going to be equal to, this is a part that I forgot. Okay guys, this is why regular practice is kind of important as well. Okay, apparently here we check if the controller is valid. Get forward direction, so controller get control rotation. Okay, that was on me. And then yaw rotation, I kind of flatten out my rotation here. Okay, and then I get my directions. Yaw rotation, get unit axis, e-axis and x-axis. Okay, that was on me. I should have forgotten that part. Okay, so apparently before my rotation here, I'm gonna go ahead and add a if statement. So I'm gonna go with something like if is valid. Okay, let's go with valid. I'm gonna go ahead and check if my controller is valid. TROLLER is valid. Okay, and again, instead of is valid, before I used to go ahead and check if my, let's say, controller was not equal to null PDR, but is valid is a bit more, is valid is way more advanced and more recommended than using null PDR or a null PDR check. Okay, where's the roadmap for web dev? Honestly, I don't think that I have a roadmap for web dev because I haven't like worked with that yet. But if you guys do need a roadmap for Python, C++, or Unreal Engine, make sure to join my Discord server and mention me that I could actually DM it to you guys. Speaking of which, let's go ahead and copy that, delete this from here, and paste it here. Now my F rotation is going to be equal to my controller, which points towards the get control rotation. Okay, and then let's go with the prof parentheses. Get control rotation, CONTROLROTATION. There we go. And another thing, guys, if you guys do want to see my window in landscape mode, make sure to move on to my horizontal stream. That's why I do stream in the landscape, because many of you guys do say that you guys can't see my entire window in the portrait mode. Let's go ahead and end this with a semicolon. Now, once I'm done with getting my rotation, I'm gonna go ahead and let's see add my rotation dot yaw. I might go with something like another. I think another F rotator is gonna be equal to my rotation dot yaw, which requires a few parameters. Maybe a rotation. Wait, I think I did something wrong there. Okay, you speaking so good. You speaking so good. You speaking good. So where did you learn it? Honestly, I think I did like learn it through like repetition type stuff because I've been streaming like every single day for the past 7 months. Besides the day when I was sick or I was moving apartments type stuff. That's it. Let's go all the way up here. Okay, so the thing that I kind of messed up on, this is a constant rotator which is represented by a local function called yaw rotation. And that is where I messed up. So there's going to be no equal to sign. And I won't say it's a necessity, like the code would work without constant, but actually having constant for the things that does not change is kind of good as well. So I'm going to go with rotation.yaw, which requires a few parameters. The first parameter is going to be 0. Okay, this is going to be my, let's say, x-axis. Next is going to be my y-axis, which is going to be my rotation dot, or my rotation. Third is going to be 0. And then let's end this with a semicolon. Okay, let's go with rotation.yaw. This is where it makes sense, right? How could I manage to mess something up after seeing it once? Rotation. Yaw rotation. I kept the same function name. Let's go with yaw rotation. And there. Okay, and then yaw rotation is this function which requires these parameters. Okay, this was kind of easy and all that stuff, but I did not really practice as much. That's the reason I forgot half of this stuff. Speaking of which, once we're done with this, I'm gonna go ahead and okay, before I really move on, basically what the yaw rotation function does is that my regular rotation, think of it as a cube or something. The rotation.yaw or the yaw rotation function, now it kind of flattens it out, so now it's literally in the y-axis type stuff. If that makes any sense. Although, if I wanted to go ahead and add a fly to my player, so my player could actually fly up as well, this wouldn't have been f vector 2D. Instead, this would just be f vector because a regular f vector is considered 3D or three-dimensional. Okay, now let's see the next part. I don't really need to see the reference so much for this, but the thing is, I forgot how do you do this. Okay, I need to get my direction now, so I'm done getting my rotation. I gotta get my direction. Okay, well, to get my direction, basically, let's say what I'm gonna do is firstly go with something like my F rotation matrix. I'm gonna go with something like F rotation matrix with a prof parentheses that requires a few parameters. I'm gonna go with something like yaw rotation. Okay, so with the prof parentheses that requires a few parameters. Yaw rotation is going to be requiring, let's say, I do remember I literally just saw it. F rotation matrix, this is going to be something like E-axis. So I'm going to go with something like E-axis says X-axis. E-axis this x-axis. And I know I did miss something else again. Of course I did. I'm gonna go back up here. Okay, so get unit axis, that's what I missed. So f rotation matrix is not a function. F rotation matrix is a structure. Inside my structure, I have my get unit axis function. There, I want to get the unit axis for my yaw rotation. Okay, but that is going to be yaw rotation. I'm going to go with something like f rotation matrix dot yaw rotation. Okay, what up, guys? That is a function. Let's remove that. Dot the get unit axis. Let's go with something like unit axis. Okay, where this function, there's going to be a dot. F rotation matrix dot yaw rotation dot get unit. Okay, wait, hold up. This did not make any sense. I literally just saw it. F rotation matrix's function requires a parameter of yaw rotation. F rotation matrix's function requires a parameter of yaw rotation. There, I'm gonna go ahead and add a dot get unit axis, which is gonna be having a e axis. I'm gonna go with something like e axis is x axis, ending with a semicolon. My yaw rotation requires 3 parameters. I'm gonna go. Do I require any parameters? Maybe not, so I'm just going to remove this. I just need a regular function call. Okay, I can actually tell you guys, this is not hard. I just forgot how to do this part because it's been a while since I worked with movement. This is why practice is important. Next up, I'm going to go with another F rotation matrix. Let's go with something like F rotation matrix, where I'm going to go ahead and get a hold of my yaw rotation again. Okay, so I'm gonna go with something like yaw rotation dot the get unit axis. From my get unit axis, I'm gonna go ahead and get a e axis, e's y axis this time, ending with a semicolon. Okay, now that I've done getting my scale value, I've done getting my rotation and location, the final thing that I'm gonna be needing is my direction. I got my rotation and direction. VALUE. Why do I still have a red underline here? That is the memory address, so that's a pointer. If I remove the pointer, it's going to be the exact same thing. Something isn't adding up here, maybe. I think it is though. That is going to be the move function. Is my spelling correct? F input action value, that is constant. I don't think, I mean, I do need a constant here. Is it publicized? Everything is publicized. Yo, hello, hi, Robert. Appreciate you joining the stream. It's been a while since I've actually seen you. Keeping in mind that you're the same Robert, because I think I know someone with the exact same profile and name as well. That's I'm gonna go up here. Okay, constant f vector equal to right direction. I forgot that. Oh my gosh. Okay, this might be kind of embarrassing right now, but it's good. I'm gonna get better at this. Okay, and then I just gotta add movement input. So basically, I'm done with everything. Here's one thing, I did not get my world direction. I'd have to ask, why didn't I need a world direction here? Maybe because I am going with the very basic stuff right now. But well, I'm gonna go ahead and improve this later on. Hey, because I am like following Unreal and this is a roadmap. It might be that I can't recall this because I'm used to more advanced stuff compared to this. That said, I have a f vector 2D, which is going to be represented by a local variable. Okay, there we go. So not a local pointer, a local variable. Next up, I'm gonna go ahead and use the get movement inputs function. Get movement inputs function, which requires a few parameters. Actually, get movement input. Did I spell this correct? How do I keep managing to mess up my spellings after just literally seeing it? Okay, maybe add movement input, exe movement input. Okay, what was the syntax? I wish that I had plotted the other screen so I could like see this without really having to come here every time. Add movement input, it's good. Oh. Okay, add movement inputs this function where I'm going to be requiring three values: a world direction, a scale value, basically 2 parameters, a world direction and a scale value. By any chance, is this my world direction? Did I, by any chance? Okay, forward direction, and that is my scale value. So these are supposed to be my world directions. Get flare rotation. Okay, get world direction. Gonna go with something like world direction. This makes so much more sense. To get world direction, I firstly get rotation. Let's go with something like get rotation. There we go. Okay, now it's trying to recall. I'm trying to recall it. Okay, I think after I'm done with half the code, and then this is gonna be, let's not actually add any comments here, but I'm gonna go with something like a vector. And noticing that effect, which is going to be represented by a local variable called something like right direction. There we go. That is going to be equal to this. Now, noticing that, what you might call it, I actually forgot what I was going to say. World direction. Yeah, noticing that this is f vector and not f vector 2D, while my scale value is 2D. That's because my scale value is only in charge of moving in the x-axis or the y-axis. I just need to use two directions. But when it comes to my, let's say, world direction, for all we know, I could go ahead and face upwards, downwards, towards the left, towards the right, in all three directions, in yaw, pitch, and roll. So keeping that in mind, I have this set to be f vector. Whereas I'm going to set another f vector here, which is going to be represented by a local variable called something like left direction. Was it forward direction and backwards direction? It is set to world direction. I could go with forward or backwards. Of course, you know what? Actually, I'm going to open a whole cloud chat in my other window. This is getting kind of tedious to open every single time. Okay, forward direction and right direction. That makes sense. This is going to be FORWARD. Oh, okay, I'm trying to remember. The forward direction is in charge of me moving either forward or backwards depending on what scale value I get. If I get a negative scale value, my forward vector moves me backwards. If I get a positive scale value, my forward direction pushes me in front. Same goes with the left direction. Depending on negative or positive, I move towards the left or towards the right. I will be adding those negative and positive checks in my input mapping context on my Unreal Engine's level. Speaking of which, why didn't I run the code till now? Just gonna go ahead and run the program so it can open my Unreal Engine while I'm working with this. Okay, that's it. I'm gonna go ahead and open my correct chat up here, so I finally have a reference and I'm not just blindly writing a code. Can always just opening the window from here. That's it. Now while this is opening, I'm gonna go ahead and add my parameters. For my world direction, I'm gonna go with something like forward vector, which is gonna be in charge of moving me in the x-axis. So I'm gonna go with my movement vector dot the x-axis. Even though moving back or forth really depends on my player's pivot point, whichever way does he face. If that way is x-axis, this is going to be correct. But if my pivot point is starting off in the y-axis, this will have to be y. You guys can always change that later on. That said, I'm going to go ahead and copy my add input movement again, and then let's go ahead and paste it here. Now in my add movement input, this time I'm going to go ahead and paste my right direction. It doesn't really matter the name. I like calling it right direction. I'm going to paste that here, and my scale value is going to be having the y-axis this time. Add movement input world direction scale value MOVEMENT. Gonna end that with a semicolon. Gonna end this with a semicolon, and then I'll hit Control S to save the code. Now this is pretty much it for my move function. It's not really big. It's just a little complex if you guys are kind of new to this stuff. Okay, now that I'm done with this, I'm gonna go ahead and let's say add another triple asterisk comment that is gonna say something like define. I'm gonna go with something like DEFINE look function. I'm gonna go ahead and define my look function. Okay, now in order to define my look function, I'm gonna do exactly what I did here. I'm gonna copy my aplayer character, okay, with a scope resolution operator, which is gonna point towards my look function that requires a constant parameter of my f input, f input action value that requires the memory address of a values parameter. Now, in order to, let's say, work on my look function, there is, let's say, two things that I might need. Keeping in mind that I don't really want to hide my mouse cursor for the time being when I'm looking around, if that makes any sense. Basically, what I'm going to go ahead and do here is that I'm going to add a pair of curly braces in my pair of curly braces. Firstly, I'm going to be requiring a scale value. Let's add a triple asterisk comment here that says something like scale value. And yeah, I don't really need word direction for this time. You just go ahead and just open my chat up here. Yo, howdy Longster, appreciate you joining the stream. How many tokens are you using, bro? Tokens, honestly, I am using the free version of the AI. What are you building? I'm actually working on mini project where this time I'm working on building character movement. I know I've done that like I think 15 or 16 streams ago, maybe even 20 streams ago. But then I wanted to like start again with learning the really core basics. That said, the mic quality improved. I actually do not know how. My room is still as empty as I don't know, as a desert. But for some reason, I think it's because I filled some water in that. I don't know. Hi bro, how long it took to learn programming skills? For me, it actually took 7 months, but I think I'd be much better in Unreal Engine if I started with Unreal Engine. Because when I initially started my programming series, I worked with Python first. Like I had a Python for 100 series where my goal was to make a game in general. I did make a game using PyGames. That was kind of fun. You guys could check that out. Speaking of which, then later I started another series which I'm currently under. That's basically programming for 250 days series, where my goal by the end of this series is to make a game in general that consists of AI logic in it. To make a game with AI logic using Unreal Engine, I realized I had to learn C++. So I learned C++. I worked a little bit with SDL to get a bit hang of how C++ works. Now I've moved to Unreal Engine, where I gotta go ahead and learn how to make meshes. Because yeah, pixelated meshes are just pixels or images slapped or textures slapped on meshes wouldn't look as good. So I'm learning how to use Blender, then later rigging in the texture and all that stuff. Okay, I mean, I do have 70 days, so I think I might pull it off. Is it better to start learning C++ from Python, or is it better to start learning from Python or C++? Okay, here's the difference between them. It really depends on what you want to do. Python is meant for more of AI logic, but C++ is meant for what you call it, making games or software development in general. If you want to be an AI engineer, then you should definitely move on to Python. Python is slower, but then it has its own benefits and it's very much, I think it's like really in demand and all that stuff as well. But C++ is for software development. Okay, it's really a journey that actually does make sense. Is it cursor? It's actually C++. And guys, I think someone is gonna be lawn mowing here, so you guys could like ignore the voices. That's enough for my scale value. I'm firstly gonna go with something like an F vector. Exactly what I did for my move function. There we go, the weed blower. Okay, this is going to be f vector 2D, which is going to be represented by a local variable called something like look vector. KVECTOR, where my look vector is going to be equal to, I'm going to go with something like my values is parameter here, dot get with a pair of ankle braces. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and copy my f vector 2D and paste it here. Then a pair of parentheses. Okay, perfect. Next time I'm going to end this way, semicolon. Once I'm done with getting my scale value, I'm just going to go ahead and let's say add my yaw and pitch input. Yaw input is in charge of me moving or me rotating towards the x-axis, either towards the left or towards the right using my mouse, because I am going to be setting it to my mouse. And pitch is up and down. Okay, you've really gone well with your journey since I started watching your streams. Honestly, that does mean the world to appreciate you, Robert. Okay, that's it. I'm gonna go ahead and let's say add another triple asterisk comment that says something like add yaw and pitch input. Okay, now to add my yaw and pitch input, firstly, I'm going to go ahead and use the add controller, controller, yaw inputs as function. And the reason I went with controller and not just another movement input is because mouse comes in a controllers as category. Like if you have a mouse, a literal controller, they all come into the controllers as category. So you do gotta set them to it, which requires, let's say, one parameter of my scale value. I'm going to copy my scale value, paste it here, go with the x-axis, because yaw is in charge of the x-axis, ending with a semicolon. Then I'm gonna go ahead and add another controller pitch input, okay, which is going to be having again my look vector dot the y-axis. Let's go with dot the y-axis, ending with a semicolon. Okay, now let's hit control S to save the code. I think that was pretty much it for all the programming part. It looks a little less because this is just the basics, it's not really as complicated. And why is my Unreal Engine not opening till now? This is like the third time that I tried opening it. I can't understand your code. I want to learn Unreal C++. Can you recommend me like your roadmap? Honestly, yeah, if you guys do want my Unreal Engine roadmap that I'm personally using, make sure to join my Discord server and like mention me there. Let me actually pull it up and show you guys. So, what up guys, let me open my Discord real quick. There we go. Okay, so basically in the Discord server, you guys could actually either go to the coding help channel and then just mention my name by going with something like at. There we go. Okay, you could go with this and mention my name and say, can I get the roadmap? Or you guys could go to the, let's say, C++ chat. There we go. Mention me here. I wouldn't recommend the third way. You guys could go to the general chat and mention me there as well. But general chat is meant for just universal conversation and general conversations. Although you guys could mention it there. As soon as I'm done with the stream, I can DM it to you guys. Speaking of which, why is my Unreal Engine not opening? This is the fourth time that I tried opening it. Let's see. Oh wow, it says one failed. I think I might know why. Okay, let's see why. Maybe because I gotta go ahead and build, and let's rebuild solution. Okay, because sometimes Unreal Engine, they don't like completely go over all your program and it just throw an error type stuff. Okay, let's see. Let's go ahead and rebuild it. All this shouldn't take as long. Okay. While it's rebuilding, let me just skim over this entire program real quick. So I have all of that. I have F input action values structure. I do not have my U input mapping context. I have my U input mapping context. I have my structure here. Okay, yeah, that should be good. And I think that's pretty much it. It's gonna compile now. Okay, while it's still compiling, it's probably in its last things to compile. I'm gonna go here. Oh, I know. Okay. I gotta open my Unreal Engine. 51 succeeded, 1 failed. So I'm gonna go with build and clean my solution. Okay, cleaning solution. I gotta ask Claude what it does. I do know that it kind of cleans your solution up. And then let's run the program. Now it should compile. I think if your program has some kind of gunk in it, it removes it. If this doesn't work, then I'm going to try generating my Visual Studio files. That's what programmers usually do before they start, but I did not really do it today. Okay, but I'm more into the Unreal cinematics rather than core games. Okay, I think that my roadmap is like a pretty generalized stuff if you want to learn like specific basics. After you're good with the basics, then you can move on and like specialize on something. Fact check me on that though. That's it. Is it still compiling? Guys, still compiling is crazy. Okay, well, I guess I jinxed it. 0 succeeded, 1 failed. Okay, at least doesn't say what line, so I can fix the error. Because I'm positive it might be a pretty silly error. So it failed the command. There. Okay, so it says make.file target. This isn't even my program. But, I know. Okay, so well, basically what I gotta do is exit this real quick. I'm gonna exit my Visual Studio. I'm gonna open my Solution Explorer. In my Solution Explorer, I'm gonna go to Documents, Unreal Engine's project. I'm gonna go to Mini Project. And then I'm gonna look for my U project here, right click, and let's say show more options. I'm gonna generate Visual Studio project files. Now, this is one of the things that keeps getting us errors and all that stuff. Because we don't generate our file. Unreal Engine does not really know that we added something in our build.cs file, which I did, my enhanced inputs, and it just thinks that I'm using, let's say, the content without really including the folders. There we go. Okay, now let's just go ahead and open this up. Now, if I were to run the code, this should work. Okay, while it's actually opening, that's really strange. It says error the command file. This is build.bat. Why does it still show an error? Line 44. Let's go to 44. I added a scale value, movement vector, value.get. I checked if my controller was valid, which I do have access to because I'm using a character class. Okay, and then I have a rotation and I got a forward vector. Okay, why do I get this error? It's not even an Unreal's error. Fine, I guess I'm gonna go ahead and open my Unreal Engine through my mini projects here. The following modules I'm missing all built with a different engine. Do you want to rebuild them? Sure, I guess I'm gonna go ahead and rebuild them. Guys, ignore the background noises. Project could not be compiled. Try rebuilding source manually. Is there like a actual compilation error? It does say compilation error, so that means something should be wrong in the code. Did I include everything? I have input action value, I have enhanced input subsystems, okay? And nothing looks wrong, like literally. Maybe I'm gonna go ahead and grab Cloud here. I'm gonna go with something like Control C. Just to fact check if everything is correct, let's paste it there, and then I'm gonna go here, go with Control C, get Cloud up here. Okay, paste it and say something like, say, do you think I messed up somewhere, question mark? Because I do get an error. Okay, let's see. It might be because I haven't worked with the movement logic for a long time. Okay, definitely. Of course, it had to be the header name. But one, look at this carefully. Count the quotation marks. Of course, guys, this is what I say. Small mistakes, gotta pay a lot of attention to them. There we go. Now, if I were to go ahead and run the code, this should work. I should have seen that though, but those are like so small mistakes. It's almost impossible to see them. Okay, there we go. Well, succeeded. Now it's opening my Visual Studio. That one tiny double quotes mark. Okay, let's wait for Unreal Engine to open now. I should have actually seen that. This is kind of embarrassing. Maybe I'm gonna be drinking some sparkling water. Let me actually get this in my main camera. I want to kind of see if my main camera is actually clear enough. Guys, let me know how you guys think of my main. Let me open this real quick. There we go. Let me know what you guys think about my main camera, because before it used to be blurry, but I tried to make it less blurry type stuff. Okay, and guys, let me just show you guys what I was drinking. So it's basically this company. I should have opened it. That's so stupid. I should have shown it first. There we go. You guys can Google it up, because I usually like to show it for like short content and all that stuff. Let's move on here now. Okay, let's see. Let's open the Unreal Engine. Okay, now in my Unreal Engine, if I want to go ahead and move on to content and then double-click map, double-click my mini project, this is the mini project that I've been working on. If I want to run the code, go to my output log, scroll all the way down here. It says my game mode is active, my player controller is active, and my pawn is valid. All three things are valid because I was working on my pawn, player controller, game state, game mode, and character last stream. However, in this stream, I'm gonna go ahead and go to my content drawer, go to C/C++ classes, drag my player character here. There we go. This is the first ever character class that I've been using now ever since I've created my roadmap or tried following my roadmap, in which in my character, let's say I'm firstly gonna go to my content and load in some of my Blender files, the bajillion Blender meshes that I've really made. I'm gonna go ahead and kind of load them here. Okay, and guys, speaking of which, tomorrow is the day where I actually have my Blender stream, so if you guys do enjoy Blender, make sure to stay with that. Okay, although it might be kind of boring, I might actually work on texturing and rigging next stream, because I think I'm done with my female warrior. Let's go with apply to all and load in everything. There we go. Okay, so these are all the meshes that I've worked on so far. Whoa, did that just crash my program? It was so many meshes, there's no way. Okay, let's send and restart. There's nothing to save. Might drink some sparkling water. Okay. There we go. And then let's go back to my maps here. I should have loaded all those at once. It was pretty heavy. Okay, maybe they all didn't really load. I'm just gonna load one at a time. I'll just go with something like my Blender's QLB files, because I don't want to really overload this thing. Okay, there we go. Let's go ahead and import it all. I want to apply it to all. Okay, now that should work. The pretty basic Blender's QLB file. I swear if it crashes one more time. How does it crash? I think it's because of my latest project that I built, which was, let's say, under my NPCs. I think, no, this is my FBX files. QLB files. I think it was under my NPCs as, not NPC, environmental meshes. It looks correct. Fine, I guess I'm just gonna go ahead and build one at a time. Some reason it was kind of today's Unreal Engine is kind of bugging. Okay, I'm gonna go to my QLB files. Let's just drop in one of my NPCs. I'm gonna go with, let's say, should I go with common NPC, Lisa or Lucy? I'll go with Lisa. Okay, just one file. This should easily load here. There we go. Okay, that is the red one. Okay, this is the correct one. There, let me just go ahead and grab my chat up here again real quick. Just a sec. There we go. Okay, now in my chat, I'm firstly going to go ahead and go to C/C++ classes and drag my player character here. And guys, I don't know, it's so strange. Why didn't all my folders load into Unreal Engine? I gotta like check that out. That said, next up, I'm gonna go ahead and click this add button here and then go with something like a static mesh. And in my static mesh, let's say I'm gonna go ahead and add Lisa. Okay, which is gonna be something like cube 1. There we go. I should have added some texture to this character, but well. Okay, and this is what I mean when I was actually talking about either the x-axis or the y-axis in my look function, and also in my move function. This blue line right here that you guys see, that tiny blue line there, that is my pivot point. The red is the x-axis here. So if my Lisa, which is my static mesh here, let me go to my details panel and kind of select my static mesh. Did my camera just fall backwards? Let me just check real quick. Oh, it actually did. What up, guys? Just get it in front here. Okay, well, I guess it's fine. I'll fix it later. There. Okay, I guess I'll fix it later. Let's go back to my gameplay screen. So what I was actually talking about, my red line here is my x-axis. So if my Lisa is going to be facing, let's go to my static mesh. If I will be facing where my, let's just get myself a bit in front. There we go. And then a bit more to the right, and then I'm going to hit something like E to rotate. There we go. So I'm going to rotate 90 degrees. There, now I'm going to hit W and move. So since I'm facing where the pivot point is, I will be moving exactly where my program tells me to, which means for my forward direction, it is going to be x-axis. I'm going to move forward and backwards on my x-axis because the red line here is x-axis. If I wanted that to be y-axis, I just have to rotate myself in the other direction. And I'm gonna try my best to get inside the collision box because, you know, if I ever want to work with collision, it's important to be inside my capsule. I'm gonna go with R, gonna decrease my scale a little, and then gonna go with W, gonna move myself back. There. Now that I'm done with this basic stuff, whoa. This is one of the most annoyingest things. I should have done this in the blueprint. That would have been so much easier. Maybe next time I'm going to go with the blueprint. There we go. Now that my Lisa is inside my capsule, how am I still not inside the capsule? This is one of the most tedious things that I usually got to do when making games in Unreal Engine. It's getting myself inside the capsule. There. Go back. Go there. I wish there was like a front preview. There we go. I'm finally in the capsule. I think that much is fine. Now that I'm in the capsule, I'm gonna go to, let's say, something like my content drawer, and in my contents section, I've created 2 input actions right here. So I've created, let's say, a move action and a look action. So I've created IMC default, which is an input mapping context action. I've created input actions as move action, input actions as look action. So I'm going to go ahead and create those in my Unreal Engine now. To do so, I'm going to right click. Let's say I'm going to go with something like new folder. I'm going to call this input just so my folder is a bit more organized. I'm going to double click my inputs as folder and then right click this, type input action. Let's go with input action. And yeah, again, I've done this part before. So even the Claude has a brief explanation on this. I'm not really going to focus much. I'm going to drink some sparkling water because I'm kind of thirsty. Why is it so strong and carbonated? That's it. I'm gonna go ahead and name this something like IA underscore move because this is gonna be my move action. There we go. And then since I have a look action as well, I'm gonna, whoops, didn't want to create a new folder. Let me delete that folder real quick. There. I'm gonna just right click and create another input action. This is gonna be input input action, which is gonna be called IA underscore look. And then I'm gonna delete this folder from here. There. And then lastly, I'm gonna go ahead and create another input action. Let's go with input. This time it's gonna be an input mapping context, not an input action. Basically, let me name this IMC defaults. Now, basically what the input mapping context does is that if I were to go ahead and open it here, go there, input mapping context is in charge of giving me my scale values. Remember the scale values that I was actually telling you guys that we needed for our movement and all that, which either returns a positive or a negative value and stores it inside of my f vector, which is represented by a local variable. I did the same thing for scale and move. Basically, what the input mapping context does is that it either gives me a positive or negative value once a certain button has been pressed on my keyboard. Let me give you an example real quick. If I were to go ahead and click plus here, click a plus for my mappings. Now, in my mappings, I'm gonna select IA underscore move. This is a input action that I've just created in my Unreal Engine, which I wanna have 4 keys that can go ahead and execute my move function. It could either be W, it could either be S, it could either be A, or it could either be D. Forward, backwards, left, and right. Have you tried Beeline already? Honestly, I have not tried Beeline yet, but I am pretty excited to try it. I will definitely have a mini series after this program for 250 series where I really try Beeline out. That said, my move function consists of any of these 4 keys. If either of these keys is pressed, I'm going to give a certain kind of scale value to my IA underscore move, which is then going to send it to my Visual Studio. Once I do the binding, I haven't gone over the binding just yet. That said, now under my W, I'm going to go ahead and let's say add a modifier. I will not be able to move in front or backwards unless I don't add this modifier. Since moving forward or backward basically means I'm going to be moving in the y-axis, I'm going to go ahead and add a modifier of my Swiss input axis value that moves me in the y-axis. Now, when I click S, I want to go ahead and move in the opposite direction of my W in the same y-axis. So I'm going to go ahead and add another movement input. My bad guys, I meant modifier, which is going to be Swiss input axis value. I'm going to move in the same direction as my W now. But if I want to move in the opposite direction of my W, the values that I was talking about are either positive or negative. I'm going to be needing a negate. So having a negate modifier and having a Swiss input modifier or Swiss input axis value modifier tells me to move in the y-axis but with a negative value, so in the negative y-axis. And that was about it. Now for my A, I'm going to go ahead and add another modifier of negate. And that's basically it for all. The reason I didn't go with anything is by default, our character does move in the x-axis. So if you want to move in the x-axis, you don't need a modifier. Just negate to the negative x-axis, positive x-axis. Okay, well, once I'm done with that, I'm going to go to something like content again. Because I'm excited too, let's go. Okay, want to give me how I can speak English like you? Basically, let's see, the best tip that I could give is to actually speak a lot because the more you speak, the better you get and all that stuff. And one more thing is like, I would actually say it'd be much better to, should I say, broaden or increase your dictionary if you read books or let's say even watch stuff, because I watch a lot of animes, so I actually do know a lot of dictionary words and all that stuff. Just use it even if it doesn't really make that much sense. It does sound kind of cool. I do like saying cool words. That said, next up I'm going to go to IMC default again and create another mapping. This time my mapping is going to be in charge for my IA underscore look, which let's say is going to be having, let's say, 2 controls. The first control could be that I want to go ahead and move towards the left or towards the right based on where my mouse moves in the x-axis. And then I want to look up or down based on where my mouse moves in the y-axis. And that's actually pretty much it for my inputs or whatever I had to do in my Unreal Engine. Besides, one more thing. I'm gonna hit Control Alt F11 to compile my code. Let's wait for it to compile real quick. Guys, this sparkling water is pretty strong. It's grapefruit flavor. It's not really that bad actually. Just very strong. It makes me feel like I want a bar. Okay, that's it. Once it's done compiling, I'm gonna go to, let's say, my player character, and now I'm gonna look for input under my details panel. Can I get this higher? Inputs. There. Okay, and now if you guys could see, I have a default mapping, move action, and look action. The reason I actually got those, this is something that I've done or worked on last stream, which was in my header files. If I just scroll a bit up here, under my input mapping context and my input actions, I've set the categories to be equal to input. So all my default mapping, my move action, and my look action are all categorized under this exact same inputs section. It's not really compulsory to use them, but the reason you actually use them is so they're more organized and all that stuff. Okay, so well, for my default mapping, I'm going to set this to IMC default. For my move action, I'm going to set it to IA underscore move. For my look action, I'm going to set it to IA underscore look. And in case you guys can't really see my entire window in the vertical stream, make sure to move on to my horizontal stream. That's why I do stream in the 4-frame mode. Many of you guys do ask me that though. Okay, and then lastly, I'm going to go ahead and set something like possess, Possess. Okay, Possess player. Auto possess. There we go. I'm gonna change my auto possess player from default to player 0, which basically means that in a regular game that I'm working on right now, player 0 is the default player, which is going to be me when I run the code. But you could add like player 1, 2, 3 if it's a multiplayer game, and if there are many people actually coming and they want to play a game all together, so you want to give them different player controllers. That's it. That's actually pretty much it. Now I'm going to move on back to my Visual Studio, and in my Visual Studio, now that I'm done with my action and all that, I'm going to work on the final part, which is binding. So to bind, I'm going to go under my bind function here, and then let's get plot up here. Time to read the final, the final part of our binding, because I do remember binding, I just forgot most of the syntaxes. Okay, let's go all the way down here. Set up player input component. What is missing? Where is the enhanced input? Binding. Where is the cast? I mean, I could potentially do it without plot too, because I don't really want to find the binding chat up here. Kind of lazy for that. Excuse me, guys. I think the sparkling water just caught up to me. Okay, I mean, I guess I'm going to be working on this on my own. Okay, let's see. Let's see if I can remember it from memory. First thing that we gotta do to actually bind something in Unreal Engine is make sure that we have our enhanced input component included, because we will be needing enhanced input component. So I'm gonna go with something like if. Excuse me, guys. Instead, I'm going to go with my uEnhanced, ENHANCED, if my uEnhanced input component, okay, which is going to be represented by a pointer called EIC. Short form for enhanced input component is equal to, let's say, should I go with cast? Here's the thing. Okay, guys, I think I kind of forgot the syntaxes. It has been a while because I think like last I worked on the movement was like 15 to 20 streams ago. I don't think Claude really showed me how to work with enhanced input components. I guess I'll just have to figure it out. So uEnhanced input component, which is going to be represented by a pointer called EIC, is going to be equal to cast. I'm going to go ahead and cast it to check if I really am working with the enhanced input component. Okay, that requires a pair of parentheses of my player input component. There. Okay, so if my uEnhanced input component, which is represented by enhanced input component, cast, there we go. Okay, and then this is going to be in an if statement. If my uEnhanced input component. Then I'm going to go ahead and do something. Firstly, what is the first thing that I might want to do when I want to bind something? I might want to, let's say, add a comment. So I'm going to go with a triple asterisk comment that says something like uh, bind, move, and look action. Let's go with something like bind, move. I might actually title case my move, bind, move, and look action. Now, in order to bind my move and look action, firstly, I'm going to point my enhance input component towards a bind actions is function. Now, in my bind actions is function, let's say I'm going to be requiring a few parameters. The first is going to be my action name, which in this case, it's going to be my move action. I'm going to copy that just to save time and avoid spelling mistakes. Okay, and the second parameter is, let's say, going to be an object. Bind action. Did I spell it correct? Okay, no instance overloaded function you enhance input component bind action matches the argument list. Okay, it does match. Argument types are you input action edit type. Object is you input action components. I think it's correct. Okay, the second parameter is going to be a trigger event, so I'm going to go with something like trigger event. Okay, maybe I'm going to go with IntelliSense. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to be adding an e-trigger event, which is going to be, let's see. So there are two different kinds of trigger events. The first trigger event could be whether or not a button is currently being pushed down and held down. If it is being held down, or while my certain key or input is being held down, I'm going to do something. The other type is going to be started and completed. When I click the button once, it executes a certain condition once. When I leave it, it resets until I don't press it again. For moving, let's say for move action, I want to go ahead and move in front while my button is being pressed, so I'm going to go with triggered. So while my move action is being triggered, I want to go ahead and do, or while my move action is being triggered on this object, I want to go ahead and do what the memory address of my, just to save some time, I'm going to copy that. Okay, I'm going to go with something like a player characters, this move function tells me to do. There we go. Okay, this was kind of sweaty, but I'm glad I remembered it. Okay, next up, I'm gonna go with enhance input component again, which points towards bind action. This time, I'm gonna go ahead and bind my look action, because this was pretty much it for my move action. Maybe I'm gonna go with something like move action, just for it to be a bit more readable. And then I'm gonna set this to something like look action. And now, for my bind action here, I'm firstly gonna go with something like look action as a parameter. And then I'm going to be adding a e-trigger event. Whoops, I think I had it wrong. I had a typo. There we go. So for my look action, I want to go ahead and look around as long as my mouse is currently active, because I don't really have a certain button for my look, because later on, I will be like, this is the most basic stuff, because later on I will be adding a logic where every time my right mouse button is being held, it enables it enables me to look around, so I could go ahead and move my mouse, and only when I want to turn, I click my right mouse button, if that made any sense. But for the time being, this is just going to be triggered. So if my look action has been triggered on this object, I want to do something that the memory address of my look function tells me to do, ending with a semicolon. That's about it. Now, if I hit Control S to save the code, open my Unreal Engine up here, hit Ctrl Alt F11 to compile the code. Let's wait for this to compile while drinking some sparkling water. Why is it so carbonated? Okay, there we go, successfully patched. Now, if I were to go ahead and run the code, moment of truth. Of course, I can't really see anything. Whoa. Okay, I'm moving really fast. I know exactly what I did to mess that up. So in my content drawer, I'm gonna go to something like content. Let's go to something like input. In my input, I'm gonna double click my look input. And now my value type says digital boolean. My look action is not, my move action is not really boolean, because I want to go ahead and move in the x-axis and y-axis. It's not a true or false value. If I had a jump action, that would be boolean. If I had a split action, that would be boolean, but I have a move action, so it's going to be set to 2D vector, because my movement is going to be consisting of x-axis and y-axis. Same thing goes for my, let's go to input again. Same thing goes for my look action. Did I just do look action? Same thing goes for my move action. I'm going to set it to 2D vector. Now if I did Control Alt F11 to compile the code, let's wait for it to compile. Okay, and then run the program. There we go. I can move much better. I can go left, right, forward, backwards. I gotta go ahead and tweak something. Because apparently I don't go left, right. I gotta shift this to be y-axis and that to be x-axis. I kind of forgot. Moving forward or backward basically means I'm moving in the x-axis. Moving in the left or right means that I'm moving in the... Moving forward or backwards means that I'm moving in the y-axis. Moving left or right means that I'm moving in the x-axis. So let's hit Control Alt F11 again. Whoa, did I compile that so quick? There we go. And then later on, I didn't really add camera right now, but later on I will be adding camera and all that stuff. Forward, backwards, left, right. There we go. Okay, so I'm basically seeing from my players' default camera that Unreal Engine really gives it to me. But I do want to see it from the third-person camera. Instead, I want to go ahead and move on to a third-person camera. Let's work on that. But oh well, I'm done with this for now. Okay, let's go ahead and get Claude back up here. Okay, and then in Claude, I'm gonna say something like, okay, I'm done, exclamation. I got the player to move forward, backwards, left, and right while being able to rotate up, down, left, and right as well. I think I'm ready to move on to the next project, ... However, before I do move, can you explain me what does the cast template do, question mark? I do know it, but I want a better explanation. Guys, ignore my typos. My fingers are not really up to clicking a lot or typing a lot right now. That said, guys, this is really hard to predict. I don't even know why I got this. Should have gotten some language or something. Okay, yes, that's the character movement. Which template concept are you asking about? F rotation matrix get unit axis, the axis 2D value, the WASD axis mapping, something else entirely. Let's go with something like, do I want to ask F rotation axis value? Maybe I might want to go with cast, right? So, okay. Should I go with, I think I'll go with this. Okay, let's go with the get unit axis value. Excuse me, guys. Wait, let me break this down simply that you'll never forget it. F rotation matrix and get unit axis explained. First, excuse me guys, the problem we're solving, imagine you're standing in a field. If you press W, you want to move forward. But forward depends on which way you're facing. If you face north, forward equals north. If you face east, forward equals east. If you face south, forward equals south. So forward is relative in your rotation. I see. So how do we define forward? This is where rotation matrix comes in. Okay, step 1, get where the player is looking. Constant F rotator, which is represented by local variable called rotation, that is going to be equal to controller, which points towards get control rotation. But we only care about left/right rotation, not up down, so we isolate the yaw. Constant F rotator, okay, which is represented by yaw rotation. Remember, I actually told you guys this kind of flattens out the cube. So if you guys have a cube flattened out, now you're left with a 2D plane. If you guys do work with Blender, you guys know what I mean by plane. Pitch, yaw, and roll. Okay, 0 is ignored. I just want to work with the yaw. What is yaw? Imagine your head pitch looking up and down, yaw looking left and right, roll tilting your head sideways. I see. We only want yaw because movement is on a flat plane. We do not move forward by looking up. Okay, what is the F rotation matrix? Think of it like this. A rotation is just an angle. Face 45 degrees to the right, but add movement input needs direction vector. Move this in exact XYZ direction. F rotator matrix converts the angle into a full coordinate system. It is like converting a compass reading into an actual arrow pointing the way I see it. Okay. And while to the task A, he to the task lol, not being mean here. Okay, just that most coders I know, including me, always have that one hand faster than the other, aka I try to write equals to I try to write, actually that does make sense. What's up? Hey, what's good, my boy? You're hiding Sprongler. Appreciate you joining the stream. That's nice, subscribe. Hey, chilling in, then I find time, keep it up. Honestly, I appreciate you, Bakelor, bizarre pronunciation name. Okay, that actually means the world to me, guys. Okay, now get unit access F rotation matrix, your rotation that gets unit access. Once we have the coordinate system E axis, which uses Corpus Lesion operator to point towards X axis, point forward the direction you're facing. E axis is Y axis, point to right the direction you're right. I see. Okay, these might be good notes to later make on. Get unit access. Extract these directions as clean normalized vectors, length of exactly 1.0, perfect for add movement input. The full picture. Where am I looking is the yaw rotation. Convert that angle. Rotation matrix. Extract the forward vector. F vector, forward direction, rotation matrix, get unit access. Extract the right vector. Move those things. I see. Now tell me in your own words, what does F rotation matrix do? I literally just saw it here. I gotta make notes on this to actually understand it. Okay, for this time, I guess for now, I'm just gonna be keeping this like an open book test because I didn't really write anything down. Okay, so I'm gonna go with something like converts that angle into a coordinate system. Okay, and then let's go with question 2. And also, I might have to, let's say, end the stream after this and maybe do the next project next stream because I have like 3 exams coming up this week. I gotta learn for them. Okay, what does get unit access? E axis is X axis give us. So get unit access. Okay, I literally had it up here. Okay, so basically what it does once you have the coordinates, point forward. Oh, I see. Extracts these directions as clean normalized vectors. So extracts directions as clean normalized vectors. And lastly, and guys, ignore my typos right now. I am kind of rushing because I don't want to actually flunk on my exams. That would be kind of crazy. Okay, let's go with something like number 3. The third question, why do we isolate the yaw and pitch? Why do we isolate the yaw and ignore the pitch and run? Oh, I know this. Because we moved in a plane. Okay, just the one axis. Okay, that's it. Let's go ahead and send this real quick. Okay, although I will be seeing the next project first, I should have said that I did answer them as a open book question for now because I do got to go and study because I have 3 exams this week. However, I will be working on it next stream. Okay, now let's hit enter. That feels much better. Question, since you're already 2/3 through your 250 days journey, do you know if Unreal has IDE scripting engine as well, like in Blender with the Python core? Curious regarding automation. Actually, I do think it's possible. I've heard people actually talk about that. I just don't know where because I started Unreal Engine, let me check how long ago. Because for my 250 days first, I started with spending the 4 days learning Python's vectors because I wanted to get that over with before I moved on to a new series. Then I spent, I think, a bunch of time learning C++, a lot of that time learning SDL, and now recently, I think it's been a month since I've started my Unreal Engine. What up, guys? Let's go to playlist real quick. Oh, wait, hold up. How is there 77? Never mind, guys. Remember when I said you guys I just started Unreal Engine? It's been 77 days, so these are like my Unreal Engine's playlist. And then I have my SDL series here as well. Oh, I've spent more time in Unreal Engine than SDL? Okay, that's actually kind of crazy. I did not really know. I spent 163 days in C++. Okay, that's not that bad, but I'm gonna go ahead and grab plot here. I did not know I spent more time in Unreal Engine than STL. STL was kind of easy though. That said, when you come back, I will test you on these same things, your homework before the next stream. Ace those exams, remember reputation matrix concept, come back hungry. Okay, that's let me go ahead and move on to my main camera. I'm so glad my main camera is so much more clear than what it used to be before. Like, I wish I could see it in my screen right now. I might check it later on. That's let me just take a quick little sip. Alright guys, so that's pretty much it for the stream. I would have streamed for longer, but I do gotta study for my exams, scanning for flunking those things. That's if you guys did enjoy the stream, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, like helps my algorithm, sharing makes you smile, subscribe, click it, share it up. That said, I will actually start multi-streaming again. The reason I stopped multi-streaming on Twitch Kick, yeah, just Twitch and Kick is because I thought it was messing with my quality, so I was trying to experiment a little to see if it improves my stream quality if I did multi-stream there. Because I am using like an integrated graphics card and not it's kind of integrated inside of my GPU and I don't have an individual one. So my streams are running on my CPU for the time being. That said, I will be maybe uploading this pre-recorded stream to my Twitch and Kick, but first I gotta actually check how that's done. That said, if you guys did enjoy my stream and you guys do enjoy my content in general, make sure to follow me there. The link will be in the description. The link will be in the bio. You guys can get access to my socials by tapping exclamation social on chat. And make sure to join my Discord server as well. That's where I usually talk with you guys, have general conversations. The link is going to be in the description. You guys can get the access to the link to my bio. To let's say, I don't think I hide my pinned comments there, right? Although you can get access by tapping exclamation Discord as well. That's it. I'll catch you guys next time for more video. Peace. Okay, you're growing, dude. Let's go.